Oh my god, I spilled all the pepper in the pan. Welcome to Cook and Book, where I cook very badly while I talk about books. As always, I'll be doing a giveaway for 5 brand new hardcover books because this video is sponsored by Book of the Month. Book of the Month is a super popular and fast-growing online service where their team vets hundreds of thousands of books each month, and they pick the best selections from new and emerging authors so that you can spend more time reading and less time researching. It is completely risk-free, meaning that you can skip any month, any time, and you will not be charged extra. They have sent me the 5 books that they selected for this month, which include How Lucky, a suspenseful and funny story about a young man grappling with a physical disability while solving a mystery unfolding right outside his door. Ariadne, a debut fantasy with princesses, love, and betrayal. The Last Thing He Told Me, a thriller about a new wife and stepmother who unravels the mystery left behind when her husband disappears. Imposter Syndrome, a character-driven thriller about misogyny in Silicon Valley and big tech. Things We Lost in the Water, a queer historical fiction novel about an immigrant Vietnamese family struggling to remain connected to each other as they settle in New Orleans. If you're participating in Asian Readathon in May, the last 2 books I mentioned would be great choices because they're both by Asian authors. I personally am interested in Imposter Syndrome because it sounds like it's hitting way too close to home. Giveaway details will be in my description below, but if you want these books guaranteed, you can use my code READWITHCINDY to get your first box for $9.99 as long as you live in the US. So let's make some tacos while I taco about the books I read this month. It's just fucking stupid. First, I have to prep the ingredients, which include draining the mango, dicing tomato, halving and peeling onion, where I thinly slice 1/2, and with the other half, I mince a few slices until I have 1 teaspoon. I don't know how to mince onions, so I'm just gonna dice them. I know people will be mad about this. I'm so sorry, I'm incompetent. This recipe also says to zest and quarter lime. I don't know how to zest. I don't have a zester or whatever you guys were talking about in the comments, so we're gonna cut it normally, or whatever is normal for my definition. This is already gonna turn out to be a hot mess, and I haven't even prepped yet. And lastly, I am going to half core and thinly slice poblano into strips. Whenever I eat instant noodles or have a cup that requires me to peel it off, I can never do it. So what I do instead is I grab a knife and I just puncture into it, and then I claw my way through the hole that I just made. So the reason why we have to drain the mango is because we are making salsa. In my last cooking video, someone commented that they thought it was funny how I always try to provide cooking instructions as if anyone's actually gonna follow my directions. I like to hope that this video is somewhat educational. Oh my god, why is this going on forever? Oh shit. Pro tip, be very careful when you're peeling the lid off of your mango cup because it might squirt mango juice everywhere. Well, I've squirted worse juice before, so it's fine. The mango is going to be added with the diced tomatoes and the minced onions. So the first book that I read this month was Clara and the Sun by Kazuo Ishiguro. This is a literary novel that follows the protagonist Clara, who is known as an artificial friend. Artificial friends, or AFs, are basically like androids, and they're commonly used for children who just need a friend in their life. Maybe they're weirdos or loners or whatever. I probably could have needed that in my childhood, or maybe right now, I don't know. Actually, you know what? I'm an artificial friend for you. Yeah, you, the person watching this video right now, watching me cook, pretending like we're sharing a meal together in this parasocial relationship that we have cultivated throughout this channel. Even though I'm just a stranger on the internet, but you feel like you have a connection with me and that we're friends. That's me, artificial friend. Clara is a girl that's being sold at a store with a bunch of other AS, and she is known more for her observational qualities. And she's always hanging out at the front window display of the store and observing the humans around the world and wondering like where they came from and noticing specific qualities about them that many people don't notice on the surface level. And every day she watches the behavior of every person who browses the store, and she hopes that one day someone will come in and choose her to be their artificial friend. And the story begins when a girl walks in and she decides to pick her up. They have this really special connection with each other, even though the girl's mom that picks her is kind of strict. But that's only because the girl that chooses her has some health problems. It's not really explained what it is. And a lot of the story is actually pretty vague. You don't get much of the world building or where these AS came from or what they even look like, which I think makes sense because it's supposed to be a standalone novel and it's more about like the concepts and the themes that the author is trying to portray rather than some hard-hitting sci-fi novel. So this whole story is shown through the eyes of Clara and her childlike innocence as the world is changing around her, as she seeks to answer this fundamental question, which is, what does it mean to love? That's another reason why I'm like your artificial friend, because I also don't know what it means to love. Just quarantine vibes, you know? I'm gonna need a bigger knife. I was super into the first half of the book. I really liked seeing the world through the eyes of Clara because she's just so optimistic and pure. I also thought that the girl who decided to pick her was really cute. It turns out she has this childhood friend who always visits her and they have play dates with each other. He's this young boy who is very precocious and they're constantly bickering with each other, but you can tell that they really care about each other, and I think it's so cute because it reminds me of like childhood friends to lovers, and I'm just like, you cute little bitches are gonna marry each other someday. I just know it. I thought I was gonna give it at least 4 stars because it started off so charming. I really liked the audiobook narrator because she helped add to like the whimsy and the innocence of the main character, but unfortunately not much really happened, which is fine. This is a literary novel. I don't think that this particular genre needs to have a bunch of wild stuff in order for it to be good, but I think the problem is not much happened even from a literary perspective. The whole theme is about her discovering love and humanity, but I feel like we didn't actually get to see that. So I ended up rating it 3 stars because I just found it to be okay. Because we already have so many stories about AIs or robots or whatever discovering humanity and love. So it's not a new thing. And this book didn't provide any groundbreaking observations about human nature at all. And there weren't enough emotional stakes for me to feel like this book was special. Like, I thought the kids were cute, but nothing really happened beyond that. I wasn't super attached to any of the characters. So I really wish that the stakes were higher at least. I learned from the comments in the last cooking video that whenever I chop onions, I need to put the flat side down on the cutting board because all this time I've been cutting it like this when it should be cut like this because that's just easier. Also, last time a lot of people were like, oh my god, you need to sharpen your knife. You can't just be like sawing it like this. But I actually think my knife is fine because look, like it cuts through straight down. I think I was just sawing it and I don't know why. I never learned how to cook. I had a sad childhood. Nobody taught me how to do this shit. This is me dicing or mincing onions. I just go like this and I hope they're small enough. Feel free to lecture me in the comments again. Speaking of people bugging me in the comments, the next book I finished after that was A Court of Silver Flames by Sarah J Maas. This is the spin-off novel that continues after the original trilogy of A Court of Thorns and Roses. It focuses on Nesta, who is her sister, and she always acts like she has to stick up her ass and she's a total bitch to everyone. So I actually had a little bit more optimistic expectations for this book compared to the original trilogy. I kind of like reading about women who are just bitchy to everyone, especially because the other fairies throughout the books can be very self-absorbed. Nesta was always like the black sheep out of the entire cast of characters. She was super antisocial. She went off on her own and she was always like, fuck you, I don't want to associate with any of you. I do think that her story is more interesting than Feyre. Her character development is more complex as well, or at least as complex as Sarah J Maas is capable of making in a story. Because the one thing about the author is that she is not subtle at all. I will dive deeper into that in my full video about it. The book was over 700 pages long. There was just so much that I have thoughts on. To show you the length of all the moments I had to write down, I'm just gonna scroll through this so you see the extent of how many notes there are. Yep, just keeps on going and going and going and going. It's honestly just quotes that I want to point out, like toes tickling his wings, feeling his seed inside her, paws and golden fur, he knew his friend smelled it. There's a lot. I need to gather my notes together and try to form some comprehensive way to explain my thoughts. Maybe I don't even need to try to make it comprehensive because the author didn't try to make it comprehensive. That shit was over 700 pages long. Cohesion, we don't know her. If I'm really lazy, maybe what I'll do is I'll just sit in my usual seat for these videos and literally go through my phone notes and just talk about it. It took me a month to finish this book. People kept on checking my Goodreads and they were like, when are you gonna finish the book already? We've been waiting. And I'm like, bitch, the Bible is shorter than this book. It's fucking massive. In fact, it's so massive, I'm literally using it as a tripod to hold up my camera right now. Look at how tall you are looking down on me. That is how thick the book is. Just like Cassie's dick was also thick, but we'll talk about that later. So I'll film and post a video at the end of the month. Please be patient, my fur pups. We all need time to process trauma. Nesta did, so I should be able to get the time to process it as well. After that, the next book that I read was Honey Girl by Morgan Rogers. This is a contemporary debut novel about a girl who has always been the kind of person who has to plan her life ahead of time and has to control everything. She's 28 years old and she has been studying and working as an astronomy student for 11 years. And now that she's finally graduated and gotten her PhD, she decides to celebrate by going on a girls' trip with her friends to Las Vegas. However, when she goes to Vegas, she ends up getting so drunk that she marries a stranger. She doesn't even remember the other woman's name. This incident serves as a catalyst for her quarter-life crisis, where she realizes that even though she completed her degree and she worked so hard to get to where she is, she doesn't feel satisfied with her life. It also doesn't help that you see her go through these interviews for jobs at these really great places, but she is often the only Black astronomer that is there because the industry and the workplaces that she's applying for are largely white and male. So a lot of times she's going to these interviews, but then they're like, you're not really a good culture fit, which is code word for, we're looking for diversity, but not that kind of diversity. Not the loud kind. You know what I mean? Like the kind of diversity where we'll put your photo up, but we don't want to hear you. Along the time that this is happening, she finds out the identity of who the woman she married is. She finds out the wife lives in New York. So she flies over there. And this is kind of like a welcome break from her daily life as she's struggling to figure out what's going on or maybe avoid thinking about what she really wants to do. And along the way, she falls for her beautiful, creative new wife. By the way, the main girl is Black and the girl she accidentally marries is Asian. So that's basically gonna be my future with Chanel. I don't know why the author didn't consult me first before writing our life story. Unfortunately, the main character finds out that she can't run away forever and inevitably reality will come crashing down on her. That is the basic synopsis of a story that I would consider to be coming of age, but for older adults. The issues that the main character goes through is very relatable for any millennial. I really liked the way that the book opened up because from the opening scene, the writing already is very lyrical because you're going through these hazy memories of what the main character recalls of this wife that she accidentally married. But the way that the wife is described is so dreamlike and almost whimsical. All right, I have the veggies chopped up for the pan, so let's head over to the stove. So I ended up rating this book 3.5 stars because I have mixed feelings about it. But let me talk about the positives first. First of all, I really like that the story is more so focused on the personal development of the main character rather than focusing on the romance between her and the other girl. I think it's more important to focus on how a relationship can help you with personal development, but not it be your entire story. Also, I wasn't really feeling the chemistry between the main girl and her wife, which is kind of a bummer, but you know, not every couple can do it like Chanel and me. The hook of the story is that she accidentally gets married and it's so wild, but the hook leads you into the story about the main character, which I think is a good setup. A lot of the things that the main character goes through throughout the book is extremely accurate to my own experiences at my last job. Not only is she struggling to be the only minority in a field that's predominantly white, but she also feels like she has to give 110% of herself 24/7 just to prove herself. Like it's not just her being a perfectionist, it's her feeling like she has to be perfect for the sake of even being recognized at work. If you have ever been a minority in a workplace and you're very career driven and you wanna, you know, get a good job and be recognized and everything, there is a lot of pressure to feel like you can't just be good, you have to be great in order to even be on the same equal level. You have to work twice as hard in order to just be recognized. Like at my last job, when I used to give a shit about my career and I was a workaholic and I wanted to be career woman and hashtag girl boss, that is exactly the kind of mentality that I felt like I needed to have. But then it's like, do you even give a shit about this? Or do you just feel like you should? So after you clear out the veggies onto another plate, you are going to add to your pan ground beef. And then after you cook the meat for 4 to 6 minutes, you add in stock concentrate and 2 teaspoons of water before you return the veggies to the pan. All right, here's the beef, because I got some beef with the way that the workplace treats women. If you are a woman of color, you know what the fuck I'm talking about with my rants. I completely understood what the main character was going through because a lot of it mirrors my own experiences. And there's a specific moment that she has. It's when she indulges in this new relationship with the woman that she had just married. But when she talks about the relationship, she says this line, and it says, "I just want one thing to be easy." And this is very accurate to how I felt before too, except obviously I didn't get married to a hot girl. One can only hope. You are so used to working hard all the time and you just want to catch a fucking break. I'm so tired of constantly proving myself. I just want one thing to be easy. So I was like, this is a big mood. Let me be a Kit Kat bar because I want to catch a fucking break. Maybe someday I'll accidentally get married to a hot girl just like the main character did. And that way I don't have to cook anymore. Oh my god, I spilled all the pepper in the pan. Fuck! Shit. Oh no, it's too late, it's mixed together. Oh my god, that was like half the bottle. I'm fucking telling you, if I married a hot girl in Las Vegas, this would not be happening to me right now. She would be making the tacos while I would be eating her taco. We would coexist happily together and I wouldn't have to eat whatever crap I'm about to make. Maybe if I add salt, it'll balance it out. That's how it works, right? Like it'll cancel out each other. God damn it. Ow, it's too hot. Fuck. I don't like this anymore. I never did. Fuck this fucking shit. I hate cooking so goddamn much. Anyway, I'm adding the beef stock concentrate right now if anyone's following the recipe along with me. So let's get to the things that I wasn't a fan of for this book because clearly we're already going downhill from here. Here's the thing. I think that this book will be very meaningful to a lot of readers. But not to me. There are two major reasons why the book didn't gel with me as much. The first reason is that it's very in your face. It's very clear what the author is trying to do and the character arc to the point where it felt like I was being spoon-fed these things. Like it felt like the writing was constantly telling me like, don't you see, this is how the character is supposed to be and this is gonna be the way that this character develops. The main character is constantly emphasizing in her inner monologue that she has to be the best, she has to be the best, she has to be the best. Even her father is this super strict dude and he's always telling her, you have to be the best. Everyone in the family has to be the best. Even when she's in Vegas with her friends, they're making jokes about how she literally planned together the trip and planned every single detail. And it's like, okay, we get it. She's a type A overachiever. You don't have to repeat it over and over again. It sets up this very predictable path. You know already what's gonna happen. You're gonna see this character who's very tight-knit and high-strung and feels like she has to be an overachiever go through this journey where she's gonna confront societal and familial expectations and she's gonna end up choosing her true happiness and joy. There's no surprise or twist or room for interpretation or subjectivity because you already know what's gonna happen. It's all spelled out for you. Personally, I enjoy stories that have more room for interpretation and nuance where I don't know exactly everything that's gonna happen, but it follows a very predictable narrative. The filling is done, which means that I now need to wrap the tortillas in damp paper towels and microwave it for 30 seconds. So while I do that, I'll let you know the biggest reason why I didn't really enjoy the book as much. The writing was not to my taste at all. Again, I loved the opening scene and how the book started off. I was convinced that I would rate it at least 4 stars. But as I kept on reading on, it was no longer holding up for me because I found so much of the writing, in my opinion, felt like it was trying too hard to be deep or romantic or poignant. I do like lyrical writing, but I wasn't a fan of how this kind of writing was executed. All right, the tortillas are all warmed up. And now all I have to do is add the beef filling that I made on the pan that has too much pepper and top it off with the mango salsa and smoky red pepper cream along with some lime juice. Okay, to give you some examples about the writing that I found to be too cheesy for me, one example is I got kind of annoyed by how often the characters kept on calling each other by their full names. It just made the lines so much cheesier in my head because they would would be like, I know what you are, Grace Porter. I see you, Grace Porter. Pass the tortilla, Grace Porter. And I think the excessive times that they called each other by their full name was just to like sound cooler for their dialogue, but it did not work on me. I was like, girl, this ain't The Fault in Our Stars, okay? You don't have to act like you're in some contemplative teen film. The love interest, I was not a fan of her at all. So she's like a radio show host. She does it late at night, and then she's like, hello, lonely creatures. Tonight I'll be talking to all the lonely creatures waiting to be found, because we are all waiting to be found. And I'm like, okay, maybe this is like some kind of shtick that she's going for with her little radio show. But then she talks like that even in her day-to-day life. And I'm like, girl, you're doing too much. I think she's just supposed to be really thoughtful and contemplative, but I was just like, all right. I think I need to get high in order to vibe with you first, but right now I'm too sober for this shit. And then the last example that I want to mention is there is this fight that happens between the main characters, and the main girl storms off. And after the fight, the wife texts her and she says, I kid you not, this is the exact line that she says, I didn't know that when you said you didn't believe in monsters, that you didn't believe in me too. Girl, save this shit for Tumblr. If I'm dating this girl and she texts me something like that after we fight, I would seriously question the relationship. I don't know if I can trust you to not write emo poetry every time I forget to wash the dishes or something. I know it's trying to be deep, but it just was a little bit too cheesy for me. And I just know that this book hits a very specific friend group that I don't have a label for, but I can try to describe. These are the type of friends that would shop at a co-op. They have crystals and gemstones on their windowsill. They've done spoken poetry at least once, and they've definitely posted it on their Tumblr. There is at least one person who has their hair dyed an unnatural color, and everyone in that friend group is gay. Maybe there's a token straight friend, but that's very unlikely. If you sound like you would be part of that friend group, I think you would like this book. Anyway, the tacos are done. All right, moment of truth. Obviously, there's too much pepper in the beef, but it's not as bad. It's still edible, even though I spilled half the pepper. I think the mango helps balance it out because it just adds the sweetness in an attempt to cancel out the excessive pepper. I could still live off of this for the next few meals. Finally, the last book that I read is Crying in H Mart, which was written by the indie singer Japanese Breakfast. Fun fact, I could have gotten a free ticket to her concert a couple years ago, but I didn't take the opportunity because I didn't know who she was. And now I regret it because I ended up reading her book and she seems like a great person. The book is a memoir that talks about her experience growing up as a Korean American and losing her mother. So growing up, she was the only Asian kid at her school. She struggled with her mom's expectations of her. She kind of rebelled a little bit. She started her own band. And as she grew up, she kind of felt like her Koreanness was becoming more distant from her. But then when she turned 25, her mom died from pancreatic cancer. And it forced her to really confront her identity and try to reclaim everything that her mom has given her, from the language to the food to the history. Food is emphasized a lot throughout the book because food is such a huge component of Asian culture and it's often a way that Asians express love for each other. So she learns all these recipes. She reflects on all the memories of what her mom would make. She would go through Asian supermarkets and end up crying when she's inside them because the smells and the tastes is just so deeply connected to her mom. It's always so hard to lose a loved one, and what I appreciated from this book is that she doesn't hesitate to tap into like the ugly aspects of grief as well, because the grieving process is not just being sad that a person is dying or that you have lost your loved one. There's also these unpleasant emotions that come with it as well. She goes into some of the jealousy that she felt towards other people that took care of her mom. She can't help but feel selfish about it and think that should be me. There's like another part where she ends up getting into an argument with her dad because after her mom dies, they get into this tense conversation and the dad says, oh, your your mom warned me that you would be like this. And she just completely blows up at him because it's just so hurtful for someone to kind of weaponize the things that a person said now that they're dead. So it's just a lot of unpleasant emotions. It's not just sadness, but it's also jealousy and anger too. And I appreciate that she explores those things because that's not really talked about a lot when it comes to grieving. And at the same time, you can feel so much love and sadness that she has for her mom. It's hard for me to rate this because I feel weird about the idea of rating a book that's so real and personal to someone because I don't even know if the book is written for anybody. I kind of just felt like this person wanted to write this book for herself because it wasn't trying to be anything else or try to teach you anything. It was just pouring out on the pages like, hey, this is what I went through. This is how much I love my mom. These are all the things I remember about her. These are all the things that made her great. I feel like it was just for her so that she could process it and commemorate her mom in the way that she could. I think maybe from a personal level, I might rate this 4 stars, but anything less than 5 is not a knock against her book at all. That's just the rating that I'm gonna go with personally because I am trying to view this on a more technical level. The book is written to be a bit more plain spoken, which is fine if that's how she wants to write it. But I personally prefer books to have a little bit more to the writing. For example, Know My Name by Chanel Miller, my favorite book of all time. She includes anecdotes about her life throughout the book, and she is able to connect it to these metaphors for a bigger statement or theme that she's trying to portray. And she does it so well, and it makes so much sense that it really knocked the writing out of the park. Another example was a book that I read this year, In the Dream House, where that author talked about an abusive relationship, and the way that she wrote it was so lyrical in a way that frames it to be almost like a horror novel. Those abilities in your writing is what makes me want to rate a memoir 5 stars. This author, for Crying in H Mart, did not do that, which is totally fine. That's just a personal preference for me. Everyone has dealt or will deal with losing a loved one, and I think it's very difficult to even try to put that into writing. So just publishing this book alone is an accomplishment in itself. So out of the 4 books that I read this month, this would be the top one for sure. For the month of May, I'm going to continue reading Asian authors because it is Asian Readathon. And I am also going to be reading Rule of Wolves by Leigh Bardugo. Usually I would be putting it off, but Jordan Harvey and Kat from Paperback Dreams wanted to read the book and get together for a live show so that we could discuss it. So I am now reading on a deadline. I will keep you updated on my impressions of all the books. Go ahead and unsubscribe from my channel, and goodbye.